Watching GVTV News.
Thanks, Gloria, and I'm Randy Hansen in World News Headlines today. The OWS marks 2 months with protests, march on Brooklyn Bridge. 73 arrested in Occupy LA protest, and Occupy encampment dismantled at UC Berkeley, and scores arrested in Occupy protests nationwide. And the census says nearly 1 in 3 U.S. children live in poverty. DHS to review deportation of undocumented immigrants. And Clinton to visit Burma, Aung San Suu Kyi to run for parliament. And tens of thousands rally in Egypt against military rulers. And Kenya seeks U.S. military help for Somalia operation. And thousands continue to protest austerity in Greece. And Brazil probes Chevron over major oil spill near Rio de Janeiro. And storm kills 6 in southeast U.S. And Obama rejects EPA smog standards after intense lobbying. And Chu defends Solyndra aid in congressional testimony. And Justice Department probes Miami police officer over lethal shooting. And National Press Club suspends journalist after questioning of Saudi prince. But before these stories, GVTV News would like to thank one of our underwriters who supports your only visual video news media in Nevada County. That's right, it's us, GVTV News. In today's first world news story, the Occupy Wall Street movement marked its 2-month anniversary on Thursday with a series of actions in New York City and nationwide. In New York City, protesters began the day with an action in the New York Stock Exchange, causing major disruptions and leading to a number of arrests. One protester said, "I'm out here today because I'm vastly underemployed and overeducated, and I believe that the 1% needs to do their fair share." And another protester said, "You know, they've got so many cops here, so many riot gear. This is a peaceful, nonviolent act from people as young as babies to grannies that are just participating in this, and it's just excessive. And Mayor Bloomberg should be ashamed of himself as a mayor and also as a member of the 1%. Later in the day, hundreds if not thousands of students gathered in New York City's Union Square. The student action then joined up for a massive rally at the Foley Square that led to the march over the Brooklyn Bridge with an estimated crowd of 32,000. In Los Angeles, at least 73 people were arrested in a series of Occupy-related actions, beginning with a march through the downtown financial district, where demonstrators held hands and formed a circle around a busy intersection, blocking traffic. One protester said, "I'm here because it's solidarity with all the movements worldwide, from Egypt, Spain, Syria, Wall Street. We're all here to change the world, to make it equal for everybody on this planet." Another protester said, "I'm here to support the movement and the people marching on Wall Street in New York today." Los Angeles protests came hours after police tore down the tent encampment erected at the University of California in Berkeley. The tents had been set up at a rally attended by thousands on campus on Tuesday. And Berkeley police tore down the tent encampment erected at the University of California, Berkeley. The tents had been set up at a rally attended by thousands on the campus on Tuesday. Also, around 50 people were arrested outside of a Bank of America tower, where demonstrators held a rally and pitched tents. It was the third consecutive day to see mass arrests at a Bank of America site, following actions in San Francisco and Charlotte. And scores of protesters were arrested in other actions across the country. In Chicago, 46 people were arrested after blocking traffic on a major downtown bridge in a protest against unemployment and cuts to federal programs. Those who were not arrested marched on to Chicago's financial district, where they surrounded the Chicago Board of Trade. Meanwhile, in Portland, at least 48 people were arrested after a march and demonstration that saw hundreds of people occupy a downtown bridge. In Las Vegas, 21 people were arrested after blocking a street outside the federal courthouse. New York City saw the most arrests in a day, with more than 200 cuffed. Protests were held in a number of cities, including Atlanta, Miami, Denver, Houston, Dallas, Seattle, and St. Louis, Boston, Milwaukee, Nashville, Columbia, South Carolina, and Washington, D.C. The U.S. Census says the number of children in the United States living in poverty rose by 1 million last year. Nearly 1 in 3 children, 32.3%, now live in households considered poor. The Obama administration has launched a review of all deportation cases currently before the immigration courts, with the stated goal of focusing on individuals deemed to pose safety risk while sparing those with no criminal record. The Department of Homeland Security has also started a parallel nationwide training program for enforcement agents and prosecutors. The United States has deported more immigrants in fiscal year 2011 than any other year on record. U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton is heading to Burma next month as a part of a thawing of ties with the ruling military junta. Clinton's visit would mark the first by a U.S. Secretary of State in 50 years. Speaking at the summit in Bali, President Obama said he sees flickers of progress in Burma. And he said, after years of darkness, we've seen flickers of progress in the last several weeks. President Thein Sein and the Burmese parliament have taken important steps on the path towards reform. We want to seize what that could be an historic for progress and make it clear that if Burma continues to travel down the road of democratic reform, it can forge a new relationship with the United States of America. Last night I spoke to Aung San Suu Kyi directly and confirmed that she supports American engagement to move this process forward. So today I've asked Secretary of State Clinton to go to Burma. As news broke of Clinton's visit, Burma's pro-democracy leader Aung San Suu Kyi announced she will run for parliament in Burma's next election. Suu Kyi's National League of Democracy will register for the vote after boycotting last year's elections. And tens of thousands of people are rallying in Egypt as part of an ongoing protest calling for quicker transition from military to civilian government. Massive crowds have gathered in Cairo's Tahrir Square as well as the town of Alexandria. Organizers have dubbed the protest the Friday of One Demand, calling on Egypt's military rulers to hand over power without delay. The Obama administration is reportedly considering a request from Kenya for military assistance in Kenya's month-old military operation inside Somalia. A force of 2,000 Kenyan troops crossed into Somalia last month in a bid to target the militant group Al-Shabaab. According to Los Angeles Times, Kenya has made an urgent appeal to the White House for intelligence and logistical support. Thousands of people rallied in Greece's capital of Athens on Thursday to oppose austerity measures and mark the 38th anniversary of the student uprising against the Greek dictatorship. Protest was the first since the new Greek cabinet took office earlier this week as part of a shakeup to address the country's economic crisis. One protester said the message in 1973 at the Polytechnic was rise up, and the message today is disobey, overturn the policies of the government, and overturn the policies of capitalists so we can have a different model for growth and for a society that serves the working people. Brazil has opened an investigation of the oil giant Chevron after a major oil spill off the coast of Rio de Janeiro, as well as A well at the Chevron drilling site has released unknown amounts of oil into the sea. Top Brazilian police official called the spill an environmental catastrophe. Fabio Scalar said, "This is a great environmental disaster. No doubt this is an environmental catastrophe. This area is a migratory route where many marine species go by. The dimensions of the spill are much bigger than the company would like to admit." And at least 6 people have died in a major storm that tore through a number of southeastern states. The victims were killed in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia, with affected areas also seeing injuries, power outages, and damages to buildings. New details have been revealed on the political maneuverings behind President Obama's decision to reject tougher regulations on smog pollution earlier this year. The New York Times reports industry lobbying played a critical role in Obama's rejection of standards proposed by U.S. Environmental Protection Agency head Lisa Jackson. Mindful of the White House concerns over opposition from corporate interests and state lawmakers, Jackson submitted a proposal she viewed as a major compromise with a weaker limit on pollution and considerable leeway for compliance. The EPA recommended that ozone levels be limited to 65 parts per billion, estimating it would prevent as many as 7,200 deaths, 11,000 emergency room visits, and 38,000 acute cases of asthma each year. But industry groups unleashed intense lobbying on lawmakers, and White House official R. Bruce Johnston, the chief lobbyist of the Chamber of Commerce, appeared to suggest his strategy was based on convincing the White House that hardship posed on industry from the new regulations was more important than protecting public health. Describing a meeting with Jackson, Johnston said, "She listened to us, but then talked about how important it was to do this, the lung thing, the asthma thing, the kids' health thing. She felt it was important to go ahead. The funny thing was nobody wanted to come right out and say, 'Are you guys thinking this through? Your boss is up for re-election next year. You're going to have a major negative impact on the economy.'" The New York Times also reports Obama's chief of staff, William Daley, appeared to be heavily swayed by a lobbyist providing him with a map showing the smog rules would negatively impact industrial interests in a number of states up for grabs in the 2012 election. Daley also appeared to ignore figures provided by environmentalists showing little difference in the job growth and the economy in areas that had adopted stricter ozone standards compared to those that have not. On Capitol Hill, Energy Secretary Stephen Chu appeared before a congressional panel on Thursday to face questioning on the Obama administration's bailout of the failed solar energy firm Solyndra. The White House has faced scrutiny following the disclosure. It rushed to approve a $535 million loan guarantee to the firm despite warnings it had not been properly vetted. Solyndra went bankrupt despite the aid, laying off about 1,000 workers. Opponents have accused Obama of rewarding a wealthy donor with ties to Solyndra for his financial backing. In his testimony, Chu said the political considerations played no role in Solyndra's loan. He stated, "The loan guarantee to Solyndra was subject to proper rigorous scrutiny and healthy debate during every phase in the process. As the Secretary of Energy, final decision on Solyndra were mine, and I made them with the best interest of taxpayers in mind. I wanted to be clear, over the course of Solyndra's loan guarantee, I did not make any decisions based on political considerations." Democrats have accused Republicans of overblowing the Solyndra controversy in order to taint efforts towards a green economy. Democratic Representative Henry Waxman of California said it is time for the Republicans to stop dancing on Solyndra's grave and get serious about energy policy. The California Supreme Court has ruled opponents of same-sex marriage can't challenge a ruling overturning the state's gay marriage ban. The ban, known as Proposition 8, was lifted in August. The case is expected to ultimately come before the U.S. Supreme Court. The U.S. Department of Justice has launched a probe of the Miami police over a spat of fatal shootings of young men. Miami police have killed at least 8 men in the last 16 months. All but one were African American. The Miami investigation brings to 18 the number of police departments nationwide currently under Justice Department review. A veteran journalist is accusing the National Press Club of censorship for suspending him in response to his questioning of a member of the Saudi royal family at a news conference earlier this week. Kind of sounds like an interview I did a while back. The journalist Sam Husseini of the Institute of Public Accuracy questioned Prince Turk al-Faisal al-Saud. And there's been a lot of talk about the legitimacy of the Syrian regime. I want to know what legitimacy your regime has, sir. You come before us represented by one of the most autocratic, misogynistic regimes on the face of the earth. Human Rights Watch and other reports of torture, detention of activists. You squelched the democratic uprising in Bahrain. You tried to overturn the democratic uprising in Egypt, and indeed you continue to oppress your own people. What legitimacy does your regime have other than billions of dollars in weapons? That was his question. Days after the exchange, Hussein received a letter from the National Press Club informing him he would be suspended for 2 weeks. In response, Husseini said, "I engaged in tough journalism with a powerful government official from an autocratic regime that is allied with the U.S. government. This apparently warrants suspension from the National Press Club." Yep, don't talk about the big elephants. That's it for World News today, and now another thanks to one of our underwriters who supports your only visual video news media in Nevada County. That's right, it's us, GVTV News.
Soundcheck Music Center, the Rock and Roll Connection. We have guitars, amps, drum equipment, sound accessories, lessons, and repairs. We are located at 671 Maltman Drive, Grass Valley. 530-272-7236, open 7 days a week.
There's something happening here, but what it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there, telling me I got to beware.
That's right, it's time for the police blotter, and pictures in the blotter not from these actual events, but used for visual aid only. Grass Valley Police Department on Wednesday, 9:30 a.m. A caller from 600 block of Maltman Drive reported a man stole a drywall cutout tool. At 10:17 a.m., a caller from Leahy Road reported an ongoing crimes. At 12:33 p.m., a caller from Bank and Mill and Neal Street reported a man came in several times asking questions about security and money, then muttered something about robbing banks when confronted. At 2:24 p.m., a caller from Memorial Park reported 7 or 8 juveniles smoking marijuana. 4:59 p.m., a caller from 1000 block of Plaza Drive reported 6 or 7 juveniles fighting with the transient. The situation was mediated. At 7:08 p.m., a caller from 200 block of Dorsey Drive reported an extremely drunken woman in a wheelchair who was too impaired to care for a child who was released to the care of a relative. At 9:15 p.m., a caller from Sutton Way reported a woman in a truck screaming for help. 9:27 p.m., a caller from 300 block of Mill Street reported a woman got out of a vehicle, ran with a man chasing her. She was crying and yelling no. They could not be located. 10:47 p.m., a caller from High and West Main Streets reported a woman sleeping under a trailer in the roadway. She was arrested on suspicion of being drunk in public. And Thursday, 3:17 a.m., a caller from 900 block East Main Street reported theft of a Honda Civic from a parking lot. A be on the lookout advisory was issued. Nevada County Sheriff's Office on Wednesday, 9:08 a.m. A caller from Grizzly Hill School reported a juvenile was using a marijuana cigarette as a bookmark. At 12:27 p.m., a woman from 12,000 block of Lodestar Drive reported a neighbor harassing her about her rescue animals. At 2:17 p.m., an animal control officer reported a person was becoming unruly over the attempt to quarantine a dog. At 4:17 p.m., a man from 11,000 block of Butler Road reported his girlfriend was drinking and acting crazy. Don't they all do that? 4:39 p.m., a caller from 12,000 block of Pascali Road reported hearing footsteps in a residence but didn't actually see anyone. 9:11 p.m., a man from 15,000 block of Little Valley Road reported his daughter misdialed the phone, then admitted he didn't have a daughter and was drunk. At 9:21 p.m., a man from 15,000 block of Highway 49 reported a man threw a phone at his vehicle. A person was arrested on suspicion of violating a restraining order. 11:54 p.m., a woman from 14,000 block of Linshaw Road reported hearing a trespasser. At 2:54 a.m., she reported her ex-husband keeps coming up and banging on the side of her trailer. He was arrested on suspicion of resisting arrest. Well, either he did or he didn't. Thursday, 6:53 a.m., a man from 13,000 block of Alpha Road reported two drunken people came up after him with a piece of wood that could not be located. And Nevada City Police Department on Wednesday, 1:05 p.m., a caller from 300 block of Broad Street reported an assault. And that's it for the Police Blotter today. Now another thanks to one of our underwriters who supports your only visual video news media in Nevada County. That's right, it's us. GVTV News. In today's local news headlines, Nevada County receives $360,000 in Chevron lawsuit. And man's death under investigation. And couple arrested in connection with $100,000 jewelry heist. In a first local story written by Liz Keller of the Union, Nevada County recently received $360,000 as part of a multi-million-dollar settlement negotiated with Chevron USA Inc. after the corporation was sued for numerous environmental violations relating to underground storage tanks. Investigators found that Chevron had violated underground storage tank laws throughout the state of California by tampering with or disabling leak detection devices, failing to test secondary containment systems, not conducting monthly inspections, inadequate training of employees in proper protocol, and maintenance of operational alarm systems, among other violations. Nevada County District Attorney Cliff Newell said the investigation also revealed hazardous materials and hazardous waste violations. Chevron, based in San Ramon, is the second largest U.S. energy company. The investigation originally started in Sacramento, Newell said. They found some pretty egregious violations. They started looking around and found that many counties had been having issues with Chevron and gas stations in general, so it morphed into a larger suit. I got involved because they were looking for plaintiffs from rural counties. There are at least 4 Chevron gas stations in western Nevada County, according to Newell. Some violations were found locally, but he noted the local affiliates have been relatively compliant in addressing those. We do consider tampering with monitoring systems to be pretty serious, said Director of Environmental Health, Wesley Nix, noting these violations are corrected immediately or the system gets shut down. Newell and 3 other counties brought the lawsuit in August. Settlement judgment includes a permanent injunction against Chevron to clean up their underground storage tanks and comply with all regulatory laws. The judgment also imposed $24.5 million in civil penalties and costs. Penalties were divided among the plaintiffs on a pro rata basis. The Nevada County District Attorney's Office received $210,000, and Nevada County Department of Environmental Health received $150,000. Nix indicated the settlement money received by his department will be used to supplement and enhance Nevada County's underground storage tank inspection and enforcement program. Efforts to improve prevention programs will also be implemented. Good job, Cliff. In another Liz Keller story, the death of Toby Trail man remains under investigation after his son found his body inside his residence late Tuesday afternoon. Son of the man, who had been identified as Randolph Delbert, 63, had not been seen his father for a few days, said Nevada County Sheriff Keith Royal. He went to the residence and saw what he believed to be a body, Royal added. Sheriff deputies responded to the Toby Trail home off Greenhorn Road east of Grass Valley and found Delbert had been dead for some time. An autopsy has been conducted, but Royal would not release the cause of death due to the ongoing investigation. The death is still being considered suspicious at this point, Royal added. A couple from Grass Valley were arrested at a local motel in connection with theft of $100,000 in jewelry from an Alta Sierra resident. The victim reported a burglary of custom jewelry from around the world from an unlocked residence at the 17,000 block of Alexandria Way on November 4th, said Nevada County Sheriff Keith Royal. Detectives discovered the suspects were believed to be staying at the motel in the 900 block of Sutton Way and obtained a search warrant on Monday. Paul Wesley Dempster, 26, and Alicia Christine O'Donnell, 24, were both found in the room. O'Donnell allegedly was hiding in the bathroom. Deputies found two distinctive silver bracelets in a nightstand, which were positively identified by the victim. They also allegedly found drug paraphernalia in the room. The rest of the jewelry has not yet been recovered, and the investigation is ongoing. Dempster was arrested on suspicion of being in possession of stolen property, being under the influence of a controlled substance, and possessing drug paraphernalia. He was booked and released on a $12,000 bail. O'Donnell was arrested on suspicion of being under the influence of a controlled substance and possession of stolen property, as well as a number of outstanding warrants. She remains in custody without bail. And that's it today for our local news. GVTV News would like to thank Associated Press, Reuters, Amy Goodman, the Union, and others for the sourcing of our news, and you for watching. Don't forget, we are broadcast 3 times a day on public access NCTV, Comcast Cable Channels 11, Suddenlink Channel 16, and Truckee and Alta Sierra, 8 a.m., 3 p.m., 7:30 p.m., Monday through Friday, sometimes other times. GVTV.org and GrassValleyTelevision.com and RuralCountiesTelevision.network.ning and NevadaCountyTV.org.